If you're anything like me, you might find that happiness does not always come easily. Sometimes you feel the weight of overthinking and struggle to find joy in the little things. It's also not uncommon to experience sadness and or depression and even question your ability to feel normal. If that resonates, I have good news. There are powerful mind shifts to boost life satisfaction. And looking back, I actually regret not embracing them in my early 20s. So in this video, I'll share a few to hopefully help you too. Medicine. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken heart drieth up the bones. King Solomon. By definition, happiness is a state of well-being and contentment, a pleasurable or satisfying experience, a complex and multifaceted emotion that encompasses a range of positive feelings, from contentment to intense joy. Viewing it from a medical standpoint, Dr. John A. Schindler regards happiness as, quote, a state of mind in which our thinking is pleasant for a significant portion of the time. In contrast, he identifies the opposite, which is unhappiness, and this is as the root causes of psychosomatic ills and the basis of disease. Happiness is not a reward. One misconception about happiness is that to feel joy and satisfaction, we have to first be virtuous or perform according to certain expectations. In reality, that order is reversed. It is actually essential to first feel good so you can perform optimally. It appears that in our popular thinking about happiness, we manage to get the cart before the horse. Be good, we say, and you will be happy. I would be happy, we say to ourselves, if I could be successful and healthy. It might be nearer the truth we said, be happy and you will be good, more successful, healthier, and feel and act more charitably toward others. Psycho-Cybernetics, page 108. Taking ownership. Thanks to societal and religious dogmas, it is often believed that pursuing happiness is selfish. On the contrary, if happiness comes solely from acting unselfishly, it still becomes a prize or reward. Hence, it also leads to the rather absurd conclusion that the way to be happy is by actually being unhappy. In the words of Maxwell Maltz, if there's a moral issue involved, it is on the side of happiness rather than unhappiness. So what this brings us to is realizing that we are responsible for making ourselves happy in the current moment, and this primarily happens internally. Happiness here and now. Rooted in reward-punishment paradigms, another misconception is that your well-being is available only after you bring specific outcomes. As the basis of hustle culture, this can include getting a better job, making more money, attracting a partner, etc. Now, while such goals are worth striving for, achieving them should not determine your mood and well-being. Instead, take ownership and cultivate happiness independently. This will increase resilience, empowering you to navigate whatever obstacles appear. And to do so, you can start living in the present, embracing the situation, and also understand that happiness is a mental habit that can be developed like any other habit. To assist with this, folk psychology teaches that overcoming obstacles of the present moment requires freedom from societal and environmental constraints. To overcome the anxieties and depressions of contemporary life, individuals must become independent of the societal environment to the degree that they no longer respond exclusively in terms of its rewards and punishments. We often grow up believing that what counts most in our lives will occur in the future. Teachers assure pupils that the boring classes will benefit them later. As Ralph Waldo Emerson noted, we are always getting to live, but never living. Or, as Poor Francis warned in the children's story, it is always bread and jam tomorrow, never bread and jam today. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, Fall. Arguably, being happy all the time is impossible. However, much of our unhappiness is actually programmed and cultivated over time. It is basically like a bad habit that drains our life force, and this results in grumpiness, self-pity, anger, dissatisfaction, and even depression. Now, although predispositions and chemical imbalances play roles, these feelings often stem from learned behaviors and negative thought patterns that have become deeply ingrained automatic responses. Over time, such responses cause us to overreact to even minor problems, whether personal, interpersonal, or random events. Deconditioning. To counteract them, take daily time to practice mindfulness, i.e., being aware of when the destructive autopilot kicks in, thinking pleasant thoughts, and spending time focusing on positive, uplifting ideas forming and experiencing life-affirming emotions, which is basically engaging in activities that foster joy and contentment, and creating new emotions, like in Morita therapy. And last but not least, making conscious decisions, which is basically using some willpower to choose to stay optimistic, even in challenging situations. More on that in a moment. Based on my experience, it is very effective to see these practices as crucial to your self-improvement, as they help reshape yourself, similar to going to the gym, eating healthy, reading, journaling, taking cold showers, meditating, etc. Or even as part of your personal great work. I hope that resonates. And just like the mentioned, they need practice. By engaging in them regularly, you can cultivate the habit of happiness, increasing your resilience and independence from external circumstances. As Maxwell Maltz wisely noted, the habit of being happy enables one to be freed or largely freed from the dominion of outward conditions. Opinions matter. Pain is white if opinion has added nothing to it. In thinking it's white, you'll make it white. Everything depends on opinion. Ambition, luxury, greed hark back to opinion. It is according to opinion that we suffer. So let us also win the way to victory in all our struggles, for the reward is virtue, steadfastness of the soul, and the peace that is won for all time. Seneca. Seneca's wisdom reminds us that our suffering often stems not from the events themselves, but from the weight we give them in our minds. Aware of this, we can actually better control how much we allow external circumstances to influence our inner peace. Now, while Seneca's message might be too radical, your opinions of the situation can either make or break it. Managing those can prevent negativity from flooding your day. Sometimes things are really bad. Others, they really aren't, and even when they are, obsessing over it doesn't help. According to Epictetus, men are disturbed not by the things that happen, but by their opinion of the things that happen. Like Seneca, Epictetus emphasizes that it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but how we perceive them. In the words of William James, much of what we call evil is due entirely to the way men take the phenomenon. Similarly, Wayne Dyer suggests that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Lastly here, I promise, Viktor Frankl was known for saying, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Viewing your negative opinions as a mere bias helps you detach from the situation without letting it affect other areas of your life. Such a detachment enables clear thinking and basically focusing on potential solutions, as there's always something you can do. So the message here is this: do not wait to feel better to take action. Take action and you will feel better. Problem solving. Mentioning solutions, personal development books often link passive living with stagnation and even death. And depression frequently mirrors this concept, including remaining stagnant while indulging in self-pity and surrendering to the entropy, and or feeling paralyzed due to a lack of purpose or vision, which we'll explore further. Similarly, psychologist Harry Levi Hollingworth highlights that problem solving and readiness to face challenges are actually crucial for happiness. And as also emphasized by individual psychology, humans are not cause-driven but inherently goal-oriented creatures. When we pursue something exciting and compelling, taking action regardless of the circumstances, states like depression and sadness diminish. Unifying the self. Kabbalistic psychology suggests that unifying the aspects of the self or the soul is actually mandatory for revealing your life purpose. Also, that negative moods and even illnesses stem from internal disunity. Conventional wisdom and psychoanalysis argue that such disunity is rooted in past experiences. Hence, to achieve well-being and unity, you should dig out past conflicts from your memory and reconcile them with the present and the future, relying on what is called etiology or the study of causation. In contrast, individual psychology promotes living through the lens of teleology, which is focusing on future-oriented problem solving. This perspective encourages you to move beyond negative experiences, recognizing they do not actually define you. And according to Adler, no experience is in itself a cause of our success or failure. We do not suffer from the shock of our experiences, the so-called trauma, but instead we make out of them whatever suits our purposes. We are not determined by our experiences, but the meaning we give them is self-determining. Complementing that, psychocybernetics offers to develop the habit of relentlessly solving particular problems and achieving meaningful goals daily. Also, to let the sleeping dogs, aka your past negative experiences, lie. Besides consistent action, this includes using your imagination to visualize actually making things happen. Form the habit of keeping goal-oriented all the time, regardless of what happens. Do this by practicing a positive aggressive attitude, both in actual everyday situation and also in your imagination. See yourself in your imagination taking positive action towards solving a problem or accomplishing a goal. According to Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, people enter an existential void or an existential crisis, including chronic misery and depression, when they no longer have a life purpose. The cure is finding one resonating with the current stage of your journey. Apparently, this could be broken down into a series of small goals to strive to achieve and anticipate. Also viewed as a sequence of events in a more esoteric terms, as discussed in a moment. Personal experience. Now, I don't know about you, but ruminating on past events never helped me get out of bad moods. It actually kept me stuck, only worsening things. Conversely, having a future-oriented purpose always puts me in a better place physically, mentally, and emotionally. It also took me out of some of the darkest places I've ever been. Whether that's making music, learning a new skill, improving my physique, creating content, and working on my brand, I found that when a purpose or goal meaningful enough is present, the self unifies to achieve and live it. We shouldn't wait to be perfectly balanced to have a meaningful purpose, but find and pursue one, and that will come naturally. And as we know from Peter J. Carroll, the life force key seeks to express itself differently, so do not restrict it. Discover and live its appropriate expression in the next chapter of your life. Journaling. This is where journaling can come in handy. The primary purpose of habit trackers and bullet journals is to keep you on track in the upcoming weeks, days, or even hours. Using them in service of your true purpose might actually get you out of various negative states. It is one thing when those kick in and you know you did nothing of what you could. It is utterly different when such states occur, but you actually have progress documented through journaling and moving the needle tangibly. So the point here is this. Journal not only to strive and demand from yourself, but also appreciate the progress you've been making. You can do that separately or as a part of a gratitude practice, which is beyond the scope of this video. By doing so and incorporating the Pomodoro technique, you'll find it's virtually impossible to be in flow states solving meaningful challenges and also be depressed. These are kinda mutually exclusive in my humble opinion. Let me know if you agree. After a while, I found such a tactic actually complements the one using the imagination we already covered. Through the first, you formulate the ideas and concepts behind the actions producing the desired results. By seeing them written, however, you not only track but also reaffirm those results in your sphere of being. Let me know your thoughts on that too. Memento Mori. Last but not least, remember that our time here is limited. Now, while the philosophies and systems I follow and use view that as a mere new beginning, the fact remains that our current journey will end. This awareness isn't meant to provoke fear, but to inspire you to seize the opportunity of the present moment, living with a purpose and intention. Sure, bad things happen here and there, and often they are not your fault. Nevertheless, it is your responsibility to not let them deter you from making the most out of this and the following chapters in your life. And the same applies to making yourself happy and fulfilled. Time passes, yet it is our most valuable asset. Embracing the moment and utilizing it as best as you can is vital, not for anyone else but your own self. But that's just my opinion. Let me know if you agree, check my digital products and books, become a Patreon to support my work, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for your time.